So Rob, we really need to do something, man. Like honestly, we've talked about your microgreens business. We've talked about your career coaching. We've talked about your business intelligence. We've got all of these ideas, but putting ideas on paper isn't making us money.
No, correct.
So I think we're just going to take this meeting as a second to like raw talk about these ideas and try to cultivate this into something that's successful. Like we're looking for our golden ticket idea here, for lack of a better idea. So let's just take a second to talk about it, man. Like you've got bite-sized greens. That's a microgreens business. So you're almost starting like a second company, right?
Yeah, but that one, I mean, like you took the class, the goal of that isn't really to make a bunch of money. That's more to teach the kids about food and understand about that whole industry.
Sure.
I don't expect that to really make money. We could use that probably for like marketing stuff. We could make like web pages and updates on it. I could do something like that. That would probably,
I think that's
generate
fair.
some traffic.
I think there's probably some money to be made in it, but I think it's going to end up being a full-time job for a long time. And it sounds like this is more supposed to be something that's supplemental.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe I'll give like, quarterly updates on how that's going with pictures and videos and something, and we can put that into a video for those who are interested in that. Because, I mean, at least that's something. The other thing I have coming up this week is I have to renew the memberships things for WooCommerce paid memberships.
That's right, because you got DataLAB, the website now that we're working on a little bit here.
Well, yeah, and we know we want to offer some sort of like membership program, but we really need to figure out like what the tiers are. And like what's funny to me is like people don't care on YouTube. They'll go ahead and just say, "Oh, buy me a coffee, support me on Patreon." And people will go there and just, sign up for maybe getting something once a month.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Patreon's prevalence through content creation in general is huge. Like,
yeah,
and you're right.
Like Patreon, they get that what that is, right?
Yeah, and so I guess at this point we're looking at what value are we adding, like having a value add, because this sounds more like a digital product. It sounds more like we're going to be working on, informational content, producing videos and stuff. So, I guess what is the value add here? Like, what are we offering people? How do we bring it all together, man? Like at this point, you've got DataLAB. It's a website. We have the ability to offer courses. We're offering content. You wanna have these membership levels. So what are we doing here?
So here is the full big picture vision. We should actually probably even animate this out, right? Like get somebody to draw pretty little animations and lines around this over voice editing. But the long and the short of it is like I've been doing B2B for the last 20 years, business to business, where I can go in and like fix a server and that's great for that company, but I leave and I can't really I don't help anybody there. Like I help the people who are working in that system, but I don't help like my friends. Like if a friend of mine says, "Hey Rob, how can you help me with data stuff?" I can't go fix their company's system. I just can't go to every company and do that. So it's like, well, how do I take this stuff and teach them some of the tricks of the trade that I've picked up to build these huge systems, and they could probably use them on like a smaller scale and kind of TLDR their job, like learn some of the skills that you otherwise would think you need a full career in, but you could get like behind the scenes access. I kind of need like I don't want to say a guinea pig because that sounds like, they're going to die in the science experiment. And I don't necessarily mean that. But I mean, like if I could just kind of walk somebody through and like introduce them maybe to all the people I've met. Like I've met people throughout all of business. And if they could see from my perspective, like what is data like from finance side? What is data like from an accounting side? What is data like from a clinical side? What is data like? They would see that it's not as scary to get into any of those things. And maybe one of them would resonate. Like people don't have to do all the different stuff I do, but I'd like to think there's people out there that want to improve their career or their job somehow. And they just, one, don't know there's additional options they could try for. Two, if they do know there's some, they think it's too hard for them to try. And right. Three, if they do think it's there and they do think it's something they could try, now there's a sea of different ways I could learn this. And how can I simplify my growth path? How do I just say, how do I get there? And I think we build that. And I know that sounds like it's going to be, extremely intense, but I don't think it's any harder than any of the other systems I built. We just got to decide how we want to do it. Like, how can we find a way for somebody to come to like a website and instead of doing like the Patreon thing where you pay $5 a month and I don't know any of those people, I don't really create any kind of relationship, like let them actually set up a profile of where they want to go and what they want to do and we can start building out that content. I can connect them to the like senior programmers and the CEO and the CIO. We'll ask them what they want to do to get people hired. How do we start getting that next generation, right? Like that's what I would like this company to be.
Yeah, it does. It sounds like a pretty big undertaking. It sounds like a really wide net, especially worrying about the personalization of the platforms.
I think we start small, and I think we start with those who are like self-starters and who will help us build it though. Like we let them know that, you know what, we're not perfect and it's not going to be all working right out of the gate, but the ones who want to come along and build it with us, I think there's a real opportunity for those people.
Sure. I think that's fair.
And then you're right. As we smooth it out, it'll be more available to more people. The ones who like, I don't know, maybe there's more they want right out the gate. Maybe they want 7 or 8 classes out of the gate, right?
Right.
Yeah. And there's definitely people who will be that. But I think what's funny is there's enough. And I've had people, that course I wrote, we started putting people through it. I thought about it the other day. I've had all my demographics hit. I've had a guy who went through it who never had a corporate job. I went another guy who had a corporate job and wanted to start his own business. I had another guy who's kind of been running his own business, but not really. It was all the demographics we said we were looking for. They've gone through and tested it. And right now we're going to be refining that over the next year. So I think it's connecting that with the right people is all we're kind of looking for. And kind of feeling out from these people as we're getting them in. If we find out, hey, this is what it'll take to get somebody into the data industry, we build that software. Like if I go talk to a CEO that says, man, I wish there was a training around X, you bet your bippy, you and I are going to create that training. Like, especially if I know it already.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I like that idea of kind of unobfuscating data for people. I work in marketing and I've worked in marketing for my entire career at this point. And the amount of data that's there that nobody's using is huge, but I don't really have an idea of how to apply it to anything but marketing. So like that idea resonates with me a lot. I really like the idea of being able to peel back the curtain a little bit and just dig into things and to see everything as data.
I love how you say that too, man. Cause like a lot of times people are so set on how they're into marketing or they're into whatever they're doing. And it's not like they have to quit that. They just can use data to kind of enhance that, right?
Right.
I think that's what you're seeing. And I love that you're seeing that. Yeah. So I think I just need to like make a list of the different people that I've met over the years and start thinking about like, what kind of stuff can I teach people and scheduling with them. I don't know. Like, what do we talk about? Like, what kind of questions would you ask if I got you in front of people? How about, could you come up with like a list of regular questions that we could ask these people?
Yeah, I think we would end up talking to these people, I guess, on the note of data, at least about data in their everyday life. I mean, to unobfuscate something is to show that it's everywhere, right? Like it's to peel back the curtain.
Yeah.
So just talking about their everyday life. I mean, we have the opportunity to talk to people about when they realize their job was data, what tools they use, how they handle it, how they delegate, who they hire, what qualifications they're looking for. I mean, realistically, it's almost like a job recruitment application, except you're just talking to people in your professional network.
It sounds like that from your perspective. When I talk to these people, the strain that they have is they're looking for people and they can't find qualified people. It's so funny because we're both on the same side of the problem, right? Like I know a bunch of people wanting to look for these jobs, and I know other people trying to find qualified people. And I guess it's just that the same old paths of going to university and going to a company and hoping that 20 years later you'll find your career is switching, right? Like it's not that anymore. It's a lot more up to the person. And I guess, you know, it's kind of cool though, is that's what my first class did. We're ready to help those people who are self-starters. The rest of it, we're going to have to fill in. But I think this is a good way to fill it in. Let's go find out from all the different people that I've met over the years, what's missing, what they think's missing when they're looking for these people. Or what kind of data, to your point. Like, I love hearing about other people and what tools they use. It's kind of surprises me sometimes. I'm like, oh, you're interested in that? I had no idea.
Right. Not even just the tools, man, but like, I think there's a point where every single career choice is data.
You're not wrong.
And so like just knowing like when that clicks, I'm sure that changes the way that you think about everything. I mean, even the simple task of like submitting a job application nowadays where it's all automated and they have computers that read all of the, you know, the keywords on your resume to see if you're even worth putting through the first interview round. All of that's data too.
Yep.
Like even the act of looking for a job is all quantifiable at this point.
And that may be something we want to put together too. Is like, hey, are you applying for a data analyst? These are the skills it takes, right? Whether or not we have the classes for it, we could recommend them to other classes to begin with. And if it makes sense to make them, we make them.
Right.
And if not, we don't have to be everything to everyone, right? Like we can be the one who connects people to the right places too. There's nothing wrong with that. But if there's missing content, we'll fill in, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely. I think that's a good shout. I think people forget about the importance of a professional network and to have a space, like, dare I say it, building an online community where everybody is your professional network is something that I don't necessarily know that anybody's doing it right now, except for maybe like LinkedIn as a platform.
Yeah, but it's not like I want to have a Discord channel that people can go to when they're stuck on marketing and be like, hey, who else took this course? Oh, you did? What did you do in this? Oh, I did this. Oh, that's a good idea. I'll try to copy that for my business. Or what do you guys recommend I do? I tried this and it didn't work. I fell on my face, right? And
Right.
not just people who like Googled other stuff or did other stuff on YouTube. It's gated to the people who are actually doing it, who are doing it together. So you're getting the real help from people. I'll probably have the people who go on my show, give them access to the back end too, so they can come in and give help to people, because I bet they will,
Yeah. They'd be the pillars of your community. I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I'm sure that a good percentage of them honestly would enjoy having that as like a recruiting funnel. Really, they would love to go in there and kind of like say, hey, who can I help? Who's coming through the pipeline, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that would be good for both ends, for the people who are looking for new talent and for the people who are looking to build their skills. So it sounds like we've taken a very complex thing and somehow made it more complex.
Yeah, I mean, we've added a lot of extra steps. We've got content creation, we've got course building, we've got networking, we've got interviewing, we've got editing.
I'll tell you what, why don't we knock up just some offline models of what kind of questions we'd even ask people for a survey. We can put it in like a beta mode. So people who are interested could fill out their own profile. They can answer some questions and start helping us play with data. But I think the podcast needs to get legs. I think we need to have some sort of, I'm guessing podcast is what we're going with this, man. Like recurring meeting where we'll go and schedule guests. Do you have any experience with it? I mean, I'm new to podcasts. I've listened to a couple. I'm not a faithful podcast subscriber, but I've heard that's a great way to kind of share new ideas like this.
I think everybody has a podcast, and there's a reason that everybody has a podcast. I like the idea of doing it, and it's good. It's good from a content funnel too. It's honestly good for a lot of businesses, because a podcast is a long form piece of raw content, and it can be cut up and edited and rearranged to fit a bunch of other places too. So realistically, putting a podcast together makes a lot of sense. And like you said, it has to have legs. It just has to start. So yeah, I mean, mocking up a sort of question and answer style interview of some sort is probably the best way to do it. I had a little bit of experience with that. I did a little bit of that on Twitch when I was streaming over there. Nothing major, but I think just having an outline of questions and literally just sitting through and talking with people about their experience in this industry, even if they're not necessarily in this industry. I mean, you could probably find somebody who manages a trucking center, for all I know, who doesn't necessarily think about their day-to-day as data, but it is. Same thing with somebody in marketing or somebody in sales, somebody who works in a textile factory. This can be everybody. And once people start to look at the fact that their positions are data, we'll be able to help them understand that they can use that data to benefit themselves. I mean, there's not a single company in the world that if you can prove you made them 200% of their return on their investment, they're not going to give you an incentive for that, right?
I love how you said that too. I'm not going to help them. They're not going to be able to listen to my podcast and earn money, but they're going to learn the knowledge to help themselves, the right skills, what they need to learn.
If the knowledge was so easy to share, everybody would be a millionaire working with data, right? It's not about giving the exact correct subset. It's about the tools and the ability to understand what you're looking at.
I love that though. Yeah, no, it's exactly what it is. I mean, I could do that. I could give people the right tools and be available for questions, but I can't guarantee their success. That's what's hard for me when I say I want to do a podcast and teach people how to be successful. You feel like there's some sort of obligation that I'm going to guarantee their success. And I mean, I'll do everything I can, but I like how you said it gives people the ability to improve themselves. And dude, I can do things all day long for people who are willing to improve themselves. No problems.
Yeah, there's no short list of ideas here. That's for sure. Let's spreadsheet it out and let's get some interviews scheduled. Let's see if we can get this thing off the ground.
I'll pick some people out and try to start sending out some emails. Let's also mock up an email invite or some sort of invite I can send to them so that there's consistency. Because then we can use data to see hey, are we inviting people right? Can we change it? Using
absolutely.
data to improve our podcast. It's kind of meta, but I'm in.
super meta, but that's the point, right? Data is meta in and of itself.
And we'd be stupid to not use it too. Like, I'm not going to sit here and talk about it and not actually use it to improve the channel and improve the site and improve the experience, right? Like,
absolutely.
Thank you for joining Podcast Like a Business on our journey to discover just how everything is data. If you want to watch the next episode or one of our favorites, click on the thumbnails here for more Podcast Lab and find us wherever you like to listen to podcasts.